always had an open heart for my unseen friends. However, more and more in the healing room where I practice, there seems to be more angelic presence and as well as spirit guides. My question is more in discerning between, I know a few, and I haven't done Doreen's class, so I haven't really worked through all of them, but I certainly work with the cards, and I have a sense, and so my question is, how do you get to know these distinct personalities? It's not really a personality, and part of me resists that, so I know there is that truth there too, because what happens in the healing room is always so remarkable, and I'm there, but it seems like it's choreographed in another way. So part of me doesn't really care to know who it is. I have to own that. But now that it just feels like there's more and more coming in, and I don't know if I should really be defining them, and that's in a way honoring them, and
I'm getting that Jenny's going to have something to say, but before she does, what I'd like to say is trust, first and foremost, that it is all perfect and relevant and relatable to whoever you're working on, no matter what you want to label,
I
right?
totally trust
and
that.
Compartmentalize what you do, okay.
Yeah, except they do ask me, who is it? And I'm like...
Well, I'll tell you an experience really quickly. I started channeling, and I would channel Mother Mary occasionally, and like periodically outside of the archangels, but mostly archangels. And one day, this energy, spiritual force came in, labeling itself the Council of Three. Oh, this is interesting. And so I worked with the Council of Three several different times, and then eventually one morning they said, surprise, it's Metatron, Michael, and Zachiel all at once. So the point in that was for me to understand that sometimes there's a weaving of light energy for me, and I do something called light weaving, and that's why. But they braid together, the frequencies come in together.
I've had it.
So understand that that's appropriate, and sometimes it'll just be Raphael, and sometimes it'll just be Michael, but a lot of time they'll come in together. But Jenny has something thinking.
I'm just wondering if I should be more discerning.
I think she'll answer that.
Ariel's waiting for.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, can anyone see angels in the audience? I'm just curious. Can you see Ariel behind me? Can you see Archangel Ariel behind me, Donna? No? I thought you said you could see angels.
But she should just speak into the mic.
Yeah, but you could.
So is anyone seeing angels, I think, is Jenny's question.
Angeleah
Yes,
can.
okay.
You all have angels.
Okay.
Oh, yes, the whole shooting gallery is here tonight, so...
Yeah. Thank you.
The Rev? The Reverend, yeah. You have a gift as a clairvoyant. And when you start to become comfortable with how powerful you are as a healer, you're inviting in more information. What's suiting you at this time is the energy healing. When it's time for you to know more, Spirit unfolds more, and that's how guidance becomes more thorough and more in depth and almost, like I'll give you an example. The first time I started channeling, I had this, it was the impetus to write just out of nowhere, and it was Archangel Michael coming through. And I just kept feeling like I needed to get a pen and a piece of paper and just start writing something. And what I got was, I love you, I am with you, I am Archangel Michael. Those three phrases then became other phrases, sentences and paragraphs, books and journals. And then the modality switched from having to write what I was hearing to become clear to speaking it. So I'm the lady in the grocery store line. What am I forgetting? Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Talking. Because it comes out of my mouth and creates reality for me. Your method is working with the healing, the swirling healing energies that are around you in your healing room at this present moment. When you're suggesting that you're curious, when you're fully ready to understand, it will be there for you. And you'll hear their names. And you will probably start to see things in your peripheral vision when you're getting closer to seeing.
Well, I see color very easily, and that's just kind of a given. I'm also an intuitive counselor.
Yeah.
medium myself, but the angels, the archangels, I guess, have been more present. And I think there's something, well, I'm not sure. There's an issue I have around the largeness of their energy, you know, and maybe it's I don't know what it is.
Can we speak after? I'll address some of that in private.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
One thing I'd like to add to that is, folks, it's trust the messages that come through. It's not so much about who's bringing the message in. It's not about labeling the energy or the archangel. It's when if you're working with your healing practice, or you're receiving energies and messages, trust the message. Then you can find out afterwards where it came from. But we're here to be messengers for these messages, and trust that.
My question real quick is, I've had a couple experiences where in dreams, I felt like I went into other people's dreams to help them out. And then I got a message that not to interfere, they're like a damned soul, or whatever they did, they have to go through their pain or whatever and let them have their own path. And it's actually a violation to interfere with what they're going through. And I was wondering if you have any feedback on that, of like situations where you're not supposed to help someone because they have to go through what they're doing.
I don't want to dominate the answers here.
Yeah.
It's a real ethical question you've just asked, and especially when coming with healing, because obviously, as stated here many times, and I strongly agree, we are here to have a human experience, so we have to watch. We obviously are connected to heaven, get back there, but right now we need to be human. And for an amount of us, there's certain things that we are meant to experience, such as you're saying. There's a certain amount of illness, there's a certain amount of injury. That being said, though, with working with Archangel Raphael, who I suggest you start working with as far as doing that, if you're going and doing that astral traveling and into people's dreams. I generally find that given a choice, most people wouldn't reject that. But if you felt that there was some boundary that you might be crossing, I would suggest talking, and this might sound a little general, but when you actually try it, you'll feel the energy of talking to their higher selves, talking to the higher selves of the person that you're working with, and just kind of check in. I also don't believe in accident, and I don't believe that you're doing what you're doing deliberately. I think that you might be on assignment. And so I think it's sweet that you're wondering if you might be interfering or taking away an experience that they came here to actually go through. But I find that when that kind of divine subconscious traveling healing happens, that it's part of your soul agreement to be that source of change for that person or for their soul. So you might get 5 different answers, but I feel that if you're doing it, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, 'cause it hasn't been on purpose. It just would happen, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I personally don't see a problem with that, and you're welcome in my dreams. So.
Thank you. Would you like to step up and ask your question?
Sure.
So the first thing is I'd like to share something that have been very empowering over the years to work with angels for me as protection and healing, and something that has showed up recently, different, and which I feel sometimes controversial about, even though I usually feel is very good. So there's a question for me there. So years ago, during Reiki training, I got a blessing for protection and concentration during the session to say, on my right, Michael, on my left, Gabriel, in front of me, Uriel, and behind me, Raphael, above my head, Shechinat El, Shekinah meaning the divine light and grace. And that felt very, very empowering. And because my mind was often distracted by different thoughts, certain sessions I would, for 1, 2, even 3 hours, sometimes repeat it constantly and feel it as a mantra, and I would physically feel them holding my hands, see them sometimes. And sometimes I would do it only once at the beginning, and sometimes I would do it many times. And it has followed me over a decade, almost 15 years. And I use it doing acupuncture and many other things that I teach so often. When I feel comfortable, because it's often doctors, I share that with them, and many of them are open to that. A couple of years ago, maybe 2 years ago, someone worked with me, introduced me to a deeper work with our angels and other angels, such as Metatron and other angels, archangels, and entities and part of the soul. Has been sometimes a little overwhelming, but I took it and it was nice. And at some point, doing the blessings, to my right, to my left, in front of me, behind me, and above me, a sixth energy came up as Satan, as an angel. And it felt very complete, because there would be something above and something below. And it felt very good. And part of the healing, seeing the divine nature of, I don't know how you name this angel, Satan?
Lucifer, some people would
Lucifer,
call him,
for example,
depending
that's one of the
on-
names.
Mhm.
And it felt really whole, very complete. But I sense that sometimes I'm conflicted with that. I feel unsettled, or I sense some fear. And I don't know always if it's my mind telling me, be careful, this is dangerous. Or that I sense that this frequency is just not fitting, or maybe I cannot hold it at the time. I see a lot of miraculous healings. And sometimes just even calling upon the angels will do it, not having to use any modality, technicality. But usually it's a very technical thing I do. And so the first thing I wanted to share is, for everyone that can use it, that has been a powerful, beautiful tool, that it has changed my life. I felt elevated my frequencies, even though I didn't know anything about angels. I felt very empowered and healed and strengthened. And so I encourage anyone to do it. Call upon the archangels beside you. Imagine them, feel them, sense them. They will, I believe, be more and more tangible as you do it. So that was something I wanted to share as a gift. And my question is, what do you think about me being fearful sometimes about Satan, because it has a correlation of something that is loaded with a lot of fear. And sometimes I feel really, really empowered and whole and with a lot of love and light with it. And sometimes, recently, I noticed that I feel unsettled. And so maybe you have some guidance for me.